Hi everyone. Welcome to IPCD Expert Talk series. Today we have an amazing speaker who's Jono Poon, who's a digital leadership strategist and inner performance coach. And he is helping thousands of individuals to uh, break limitations and rediscover their inner voice. So I thought it is an amazing opportunity for us to share some of those insights with our community as well. So Jono, welcome to the session. How are you today?
Thank you, Ashani. It's great to be here. I'm doing very awesome. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So it has been pleasure to talk to you and looking at the work that you do with the people. And today we are going to talk more on those, especially about finding the self-worth in the digital world. So in this digital world, there are lots of things happening, sometimes overwhelming, isn't it? Um, People often trying to find their self-worth. Am I good enough? Am I in the right phase? Don't you think so, Jonah?
Yeah, so in the digital world, especially with social media and in a world where we have so much connection on the phone and power and resource in the palm of our hands, we also feel much more disconnected from the rest of the world, especially from human to human, people to people interactions. And we're losing a lot of that connection. So therefore, a lot of questions that we don't get to build upon ourselves because we get so lost in this digital world.
And often when we are scrolling down, we see what other peoples are doing. And then we often questioning, why can't I do that? Am I not good enough? Or maybe I don't know these things. You always seems inferior sometimes. Don't you find those
Yeah,
kind of individuals?
comparison is the thief of joy. And that is the very big danger of social media if you're not aware of it. And that's why in this day and age, awareness or self-awareness is much more needed in terms of self-management in your inner leadership, how you handle things, how you handle and control your thoughts and emotions, but also knowing your own self-worth and your own value in the world. I think something that we don't ask ourselves enough these days. And we're not brought up to ask these questions either.
Yeah, that's true. So, Jono, I was so curious to know how you started to discover this topic, and then how you started to inspire the people through this topic, and what was your journey to this level?
So my journey was growing up feeling from invisible to
Okay,
now standing on stage and speaking to people on podcasts, on public speaking, on stages and mentoring, coaching. But that wasn't the case when I was a kid. When
okay,
I was a kid, I had a very low self-confidence. Growing up, no matter what I did, it just didn't feel enough. We're, as Asian Chinese, our prophecy is become a doctor, lawyer, and accountant. And if you're not any of those, you're deemed as a failure.
okay,
So that was my childhood growing up. But I also faced a lot of cultural bullying because of my ethnicity, my color of my skin, the language that I spoke. I couldn't communicate. My first language wasn't English, so I couldn't communicate with kids. I couldn't communicate with the teachers. I couldn't ask for help. And I carried that silent belief that my voice just didn't matter because of my communication. But over time, I started to realize that confidence is something that you're born with. You have to build it, and I started to build it through things like martial arts, um, personal growth of training, coaching, mentorship, things like Toastmasters, um, people like Tony Robbins, um, and you just start to learn about how you can turn your pain into purpose. And something that I help others do the same through that, but it's breaking through their own limitations and rediscovering their voice, and then choosing to lead themselves from inside out. And that is something that didn't happen overnight. It's like 30 plus years of training and self-investing and going out trying different things and really taking that time out to discover what am I here to do and who am I and what is it that I love to do.
Yeah, Jonah, just I can really resonate with those what you said. Always we most of the time, I think people who are listening, you might also have those kind of stories. We all don't have that perfect kind of a childhood. Sometimes, not even childhood, in our career lives, we get often these kind of obstacles. Sometimes the incidences where we tend to sometimes bully us, or maybe start to question about our confidence and all that. I think these difficult life experiences, challenging life experiences, sometimes, help us to find ourselves, like you said, isn't it, Jono?
Yeah, so challenges, a lot of people are afraid of challenges because it's hard and it can
Mm,
be tough. And sometimes it can be shattering. It could be exhausting as well. But that is when you start doing hard stuff in your life, you start building that resilience. So for me, to build my own resilience is, going to martial arts, you spar, you fight with people who's bigger than you, who's tougher than
mm,
you, who's got better skills than you, and you literally get beaten up. But it helps you get back up stronger. And because again, going to gym and if you're building muscle, if just training, you're building resilience mentally, physically, but also spiritually. Like you're putting time in for yourself. The more time you choose to spend time for you, the more you're building your own self-resilience and your inner leadership. So even things like cooking a simple diet, like a meal for yourself, nutritional meal, loads of greens, bit of, veg and all that, and whatever else that you want, but nutrition for yourself. You're taking time out to look after yourself. So you're putting yourself first. And so you're adding your own personal value to yourself by taking care of yourself. And there's so many things like nowadays is it's easy to get a takeout and buy junk food, something snacks from the shops and everything. Like half of the shop, like nowadays, is like 80% of it's just
mm.
processed food. It's not even cooked food, like raw food for you to cook yourself nowadays. It's all processed stuff. So taking time out to look after your health is one. Things that I start to build my self-resilience, like hard stuff, is like cold water baths. Um, what else was there? Cold showers, and then putting martial arts and training. I think that's your physical training, putting stuff that builds up your body, your health, your spiritual self. But that's again, when you're putting your self-worth, get back to that point, is
Yeah,
knowing what are you doing it for? What are you doing it for? All right.
yeah, that's true. That's true, Bruna. So we can, we might think it's like a big rocket science. It's making the right choice, making that choice of, finding your self-worth, isn't it, Jonah? So what was your turning point actually, when you're in this discovery journey? What was the turning point in your life?
Turning point for me was realizing that I'm not going to be a doctor, lawyer, and accountant.
Okay.
It's just academically, it wasn't me. Hmm. I found myself in digital marketing, but I also started to realize when I was climbing chasing the success and that validation for parents and the recognition, but again, never feeling fulfilled inside. So I was climbing the corporate ladder. So I'd graduated, got my first job, worked my way up from a SME to a from a startup to SME, then a corporate. Then I got to corporate, which was probably the next best thing after doctor, lawyer, and accountant. I was like, wow, I'm look at the salary, da 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 da, all this successful material stuff that I'm getting, but I was just completely empty. I was working probably 16 12, 16 nowadays. It's very long day. Like I was burning the corporate the corporate ladder.
Hmm.
Um, and it got to the point where I just felt completely empty. I was like, is this what I want to do for the rest of my life? And I started to burn out very quickly. It took me only 6 months to burn out. So after 6 months, I was burnt out physically, mentally, ill in my bed, which felt like my deathbed because I wasn't able to get off my bed for about a month. So I was taking time off, and eventually it came to the point where I was like, you know what, I'm just handing my notice and go, forget it. This is not, I'm done. And during that time when you're physically ill, mentally and physically in bed, you have a lot of dark thoughts. There was thoughts of suicide. There was things like, did my life matter if I would just disappeared now, if I just faded away? Um, and that's the point where it turned for me. I had to make that choice. It's like, if I'm going to carry on doing this, it must be something I enjoy, something I love doing, and this is not it. So I took that year off to work on myself. I went out for a self-discovery journey. I started to do coaching and freelance consulting. Then I started to build, I suppose, myself, going on this personal development journey and just finding out what is it I want to do and just try loads and do new things. And so that's
Yeah.
when I started to do things like Toastmasters, and I wasn't great at public speaking. I was a shy introvert kid, and I remember the first speech where I was just shaking, nerves, my voice was trembling. I think it was a table topics. I lasted for about 20 to 30 seconds. For those that don't know table topics, you're supposed to speak for 2 minutes. I lasted about 10 seconds. So then I was like, okay, that's not it. This isn't going well. But each time I started to stand up at the front, I began to start reclaiming a little bit of my self-worth. I started to build those little stacks of Lego bricks, like I like to call it, where I'm just building that brick of confidence each time I'm speaking, each time I'm standing on stage, each time I'm interacting with someone else, I'm building that confidence outside. And I wasn't just speaking for approval anymore. So then I was just expressing my truth. Whenever I shared a speech or anything, it came from a personal story. And it was easier for me to express my truth and my story. And you would have noticed because you mentioned this before. It was just easier for me to talk about myself rather than a certain topic that I don't know about, my history, my experience of it. It's easier to process my emotions that I was going through at the time. And that's the process that taught me that confidence grows from that consistency of showing up regularly and that courage to even break through, don't want to show up. Because there's times, a lot of times when I think first 2 years of meetings where I was just in and out, probably one meeting per month, if that. Like, or sometimes there's one meeting per 2, 3 months sometimes. And once you skip one, you're easier to skip the next. It's the same as when you put off going to gym. You're like, oh, I'm supposed to go gym today. But you know what? It's late now. I'll go tomorrow. Then tomorrow comes, then you go,
Yeah.
oh, something else comes up. And then you just keep putting it off and off and off. And you lose that consistency. You lose that momentum. So it's not about being perfect, but it's being about consistent of showing up even when your voice is shaking and breaking, your anxiety is through the roof. But over time I learned that self-worth isn't something that you earn through those achievements and certificates and whatnot. It's remembered through your self-awareness, and it's things that you have to put in to work on yourself. You have to put in that time.
So powerful, Jenna. So you end up as the president of the Pegasus Toastmasters. You're talking about your flows and your speeches. I never heard that. I was listening to your speeches, you know, as we are now as a very seasoned Toastmaster. I can see the growth in you. So when I hear your story, I see a couple of things. One is you made the choice for your own change. So through self-awareness, you made that um, intuitive choice. And then you step out of your comfort zone, isn't it? You try new things that challenge you, that you feel the growth. And then I see that you are connected with people who support for your growth. And yeah, so, and then now you're sharing your experience. You have discovered that growth and you're now giving it back to the society through your work. And, those things are really powerful. It's a kind of a journey that everybody who's willing to take that step to change yourself for the better, that you will go through the same journey, isn't it, John?
Yeah, so I knew when I was doing digital marketing that the skill set of being behind the desk and doing amazing websites and email marketing and social media content, videos, is great. But none of that technical ability matters if you don't have the ability to communicate that value outside. And also realized it was a skill set I was missing. I loved people, I loved the interaction with people, I loved helping people, but I lacked the way to communicate with and connect with people. And so that's why I decided to take that step to break through that comfort zone and learn how to communicate and learn how to connect and learn how to actually serve people properly. Because there's only so much I can do digitally, but there's more I can do with people emotionally through their thought process or through self-awareness work. And that's where I started to, narrow down, okay, this is the area I want to go in. It's helping people break through of limitations. Because I never had that guidance. And I would love to be that for someone else because I didn't have one.
Yeah. So tell us more about it. What do you do, and what is your program where people can find you, you know?
Well, for my company is Limit Break Lifestyle. So the name says itself. It's breaking through limitations. And that limitation could be physical limitation, it could be mental limitations, it could be spiritual. Wherever it is there's something that's holding you back that you're unaware of. Whether that's the fear, whether that's your anxiety, or maybe that could be something from childhood that you're blocking yourself from. And most of the time, it's the fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of being judged. And those are things that people aren't aware of that's stopping them from actually getting what they want. And we always hear this is what you want is on the other side of fear. But most of the time, people are afraid to break through that fear. And so what we do is go through your thought process, your emotions, your stories, your beliefs, your values, everything that you're being conditioned and programmed to believe in right now. Then we reframe them to something else. If we go through visualization exercises, it could be, is visualizing if you was to have no limitations whatsoever, whether it's money, whether it's, resources or wherever it is, what would you love to achieve? What would you love to have?
Basically transforming individuals through those stages, isn't it? Their belief, their
Absolutely.
attitude.
It's a transformation process and it comes from that inner leadership transformation, which is what we do. And that's when you start taking in internally what's your story, what's holding you back.
Yeah, I truly believe that as a person who already went through that process, and can empathize on those the whole journey, you can really support someone through this journey, through all these techniques. And it's you can find Jono through LinkedIn, Facebook, where they can find you, and your website as well. So we will put those links into the description below, so everybody can find you and connect with you to learn more about the service, and as well as learn more about Jono. He's been sharing a lot of insights through various platforms, and it's very hard to communicate and sell all those things within 20 minutes, but you can connect with Jono and explore more about their services as well. And Juno, thank you so much for today. For sharing all those valuable insights, and most important thing I get from our talk is you know it's all right, we don't have a perfect life at any time. We may face challenges, but how we can make that conscious choice to have the change that we want to have in our life. From that, we need to go through uh, out of our comfort zone. We need to meet the right people that will support. We need to challenge ourselves, try different things, isn't it? And then, have that consistent. You always mention about consistency, isn't it, Jonah? So, uh, those things. And then you need to ask support whenever you need and you feel like. And there are always people like Jono and, anybody who's in your network, you can ask support, because it's always good to ask support rather than, stuck in a metal, right? So I would ask, give you the stage. Finally, Jono, what are your three takeaways? If somebody is having self doubt about themselves, they're questioning about themselves. What are the three things that you would like to tell them?
Well, before I do number one, I'd say when you learn to lead yourself with compassion, clarity, and courage, your external life begins to shift naturally. But also, you stop seeking validation and you start living with intention. And that's where true confidence and self-worth comes from. So my three things is number one is having that awareness before action. Take time to reflect where your beliefs are about self-worth, where does that come from, and make sure you write this down as well. There's exercises you can do is writing down what's the beliefs that about your self-worth, where does it come from, whose expectations are you still trying to meet? For me, it was my parents. So awareness is the first step to change. And then number two is express, don't suppress, because the more you suppress, it starts becoming a more dangerous emotion. Where I say dangerous, it's more of like things like depression, negative thoughts, all those. And so learn to speak your truth even when it's uncomfortable. And that's when you know, because your voice shakes. That's when you know you're on the right path, is when you don't want to speak because it's so painful to speak. So whether it's through journaling, talking to someone you trust, sharing a journey, that expression just helps release that emotional weight and baggage, which is why you hear people talk about talking therapy and that is working for them because it's expression to someone that you don't know about, and it just releases so much energy that you just probably stuck energy that's just trapped within you for like maybe years and you don't know. And that just helps reconnect your authentic self when you start speaking your truth. Number three would be progress over perfection, like you mentioned, consistency. Your confidence grows through small, consistent wins. Start counting your wins from making your bed, brushing your teeth, get have looking after yourself, cooking yourself meals, working out, wherever it is, going for walks. No matter how small it is, just celebrate those progress because we see it so natural that we forget these are wins. Waking up is a win for another life, another day in life is a win. Having more breath, having your health, all these little things, clean water, and there's something that I mentioned about gratitude, right? Is all these little gratitude steps starts building your self-leadership, but also starts strengthening your self-worth as well. And I love these daily practices because it's not quick fixes, but it's something that's consistent that builds those strong foundation for stronger inner confidence. So those are my three tips.
Wow, so powerful. I think those have a lot of weight on it. So it's lovely to see you, Jono, and we are so privileged to have you today, and then take your time and sharing these insights with everyone here today. So look forward to see you more often and share your insights. And I'm again asking everybody to, you have all these links to his platform where he's in. So please do connect and explore more of his services and, inspire with his story as well. So thank you so much,
Thank you so much.